Hola, intrepid viewers. Now, before I get into this reading, I do want to say I won't be reading specifically on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The horror is unfolding as we speak, but I've done two collaborations recently, one, the regular one with Hogarth and Lady G, and another one on Jen Lynn's tarot with Johnny from Tarot's Apprentice. So I've put my 10 cents worth in there. So in this video today, I want to get back to the speakership because it is third in line to the presidency. And of course, without a speaker, the US can do nothing, you know. No speaker in Congress. They are so appalling. And who's the choice between? Steve Scalise, who famously has KKK contacts, has audiences with David Duke or whatever his name is, the head of the Klan, versus Jim Jordan, who needs no introduction. And what is it? I just saw yesterday in some article that there was a previous GOP speaker, what was his name? Dennis Hastert or something. And with Dennis, he got sprung for financial crimes, trying to bribe and cover up the sexual abuse of teenage boys in a wrestling competition. What is it with the GOP, teenage boys, and wrestling? Words fail me. Now, so let's dive in. Haven't they got someone else? I'm going to ask, will the speakership be resolved quickly, for better or for worse? Will it be in the next week or something? Let's have a look. Will they choose their foul-mouthed, impossibly inadequate speaker of the GOP? Let's have a look. Will it be resolved? Let's see what's happening here. There is a message about that. Ugh. Okay. So who represents their values becomes the question. I don't think it's even right to use the word values. Who represents their actual imbecilic, torturous, self-serving interests? Did you see that Clarence Thomas was captured driving around with the surviving Koch brother, huge GOP donor, in a gold-plated SUV? Now, I'm speechless. Okay. Page of Pentacles and King of Pentacles. This is what they're allegedly going for, and this is their obstacle. The problem is, I think with this, that this to me is the Jim Jordan card here. I think he has a few more votes than Scalise, but is it enough? I don't think so. They're both going to start attacking each other on this. And the outcome to the question is the Tower. So this is part of letting things crash and burn. Who is looking after America? You know, so the Dems have this huge historical time of trying to keep the country ticking over. When you've got these vigilante nutcases on the GOP side, you know. So in answer to the question, I don't think it's going to be that quick they might decide to stay up all night and eat pizzas and keep voting in a more compressed time frame. That's certainly a possibility. But this is disastrous. Oh, my God. I think this process will sort of isolate anyone who's wavering. I don't understand people who are still wavering at this time. Well, should I vote for the GOP or the Dems? Like it's normal, like that's a question. So hopefully this inevitable circus will put off a few independent voters. Okay, so let's move on to Scott Hall now. He is the named co-defendant with Sidney Powell. I don't think they're friends, but they share an indictment, and that's sort of a bonding experience, isn't it? Now, what did I do with my coffee? I know that's the question you're asking yourselves. Hold on, though. Oh, here we are. Sorry about the PJs again, but it's all so. Okay, let's have a look. Scott Hall has already pleaded guilty, as I understand it. So let's have a look at Sidney Powell. You know, don't you know that type from school? I'm talking to the women in the audience now. She was the hall monitor and made sure everyone else towed the line, you know. Sidney Powell, what's going to happen here? And then we'll get into the Yetis estates. Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell. Awesome. Well, she's stubborn. You have to say that for her, whether you think that's a plus or a minus. She's very, very stubborn. This is her false messaging, this Knight of Cups, the false knight, about the election being stolen. Things are happening quickly for her. There's another knight here. Knights are opportunities and actions. She is considering a plea deal. So I think behind the scenes, she's been offered some sort of reduction in sentencing if she spills the beans higher up. But she's old school with this Six of Cups. And she's not the smartest tool in the shed. She is going to be prepared to walk off a cliff for the Yeti. So I've no doubt she will lose her law license. She could do jail time. But it's like she can't think outside the box here, you know. She can't really make a sensible assessment of what's going on. It's like she thinks if I don't admit it, it'll be all right in the end. No, it won't, Pep. No, it will not. So let's have a look now. At now, the judge in New York, he has said, amongst other things, where is this? Okay, so the licenses to do business will be revoked. They have to agree on who's going to liquidate the properties by the 26th of October. I think how it works is both sides can suggest a company or have to agree on a company, or if they can't, presumably the judge overrides and appoints one. But that's by the 26th of October. That's not a million miles away. meaning they can't do anything, dispose of assets, swap assets, put them in other names, etc., without notifying somebody. So let's just see here. There was something else. Yeah, I can't find it now. So we'll just look, because the question on all our lips is, oh, I know what it was. The Yeti. And, excuse me, and his criminal offspring really have to answer to the piper now. Yeah. So let's have a look here. I've forgotten again what it was. There was some other key point. Just give me a moment. Disposal of assets. No. Let's see. What we really want to know is Mar-a-Lago. Because Mar-a-Lago, the complication is the Yeti will claim that's his primary residence, but it's got a complicated deed on it saying it has to be a private club with guest rooms, which it does. So can he claim it as a private residence? What will happen with Mar-a-Lago? More lies and deceit. But with these cards, I'm not seeing him lose Mar-a-Lago, at least not yet. So at the moment, there's confusion, and that's probably because it's an interstate issue. Does New York law apply in Florida? And he'll take it all the way to the Supreme Court. He may win. This is a legal card here, and maintain Mar-a-Lago, the card of the good life, through lies and deception. But this, I think, represents the Supreme Court. In other words, Mar-a-Lago might be named as the assets to be stripped from the company, but it'll go all the way. And the outcome is the Yeti is emperor. Hate that. Hate that. Love to be wrong. You know how it is. Okay. Now, in other news, we know that Gates is now complaining, Matt Gaetz is now complaining that he was booed and attacked after pushing the vote for the Speaker. So he's not popular. Excuse me, I've got to have a sneeze. Which happened? So let's have a look here. The Michael Cohen case has been dropped. The Yeti didn't want to sit for 9 hours. Now, I want to have another look at Nikki Haley, because she was asked very specifically about Trump's suggestion that General Milley be executed for treason. That was her chance to stand up for democracy, even as an arch conservative. And she failed to do that. This is the authoritarian playbook. This is how Mussolini, Hitler, everyone else gets in. They have to get other people at a high level outside the inner circle to agree to the madness for it to go forward. So it's actually not just irritating, it's extremely dangerous that Nikki Haley failed to condemn the potential execution of Milley. So how is she traveling? She's always worried me. From 2017, this woman has worried me. Will Nikki Haley perform better? Her numbers aren't marvellous. As they get more desperate, they might back a woman. Nikki Haley. But right-wing women are the worst, aren't they? The absolute worst. Okay. Well, there she is. Oh, judgment has been called. Ugh. All right. So with these cards, here she is as the Queen of Pentacles. She's quite secure in her own space. She's secure around her abilities to deliver on the job, even though she gave the worst speech in 2 generations to the United Nations. Most Americans wouldn't have followed it. So she appears very strong and centered. She feels it's her calling to save America. Things are moving quickly, very quickly for her. This is the 2 of Wands and strategic thinking on behalf of the GOP. They might end up scrapping all the men and backing her, or they make her an offer she really doesn't want. I'd say that would be being vice president to the Yeti. He wouldn't want her. She wouldn't want to work with him. I think it's that. Will she be offered a vice presidency to the Yeti? Because they'd be thinking, look, if his court cases pan out and he goes to jail or whatever, she could step into the breach. But this is interesting to me because she doesn't want that role. To a certain extent, if you think of it through her eyes, it would make sense to say yes to that job. But she knows how idiotic and dangerous he is. She would also then be forced to keep saying it. Do not trust this woman. Okay, guys, now let me just finish here by drawing some cards for you guys. Okay. Oh, in other news, did you see where the Yeti said he loved Hannibal Lecter? Because the actor who played Hannibal Lecter, the Yeti said, supported him, Trump. No, he didn't. Anthony Hopkins is a Brit who, I can assure you, would not be a fan of the Yeti. But isn't it amazing? So let's have a look for you guys. For the viewers, what do they need to know for the next week? Let's just make it the next week. Oh, the Queen of Pentacles is getting a workout. All right, don't let the stress get to you. Do not. Stay anchored. This was the card I was just talking about with Nikki Haley. Stay anchored, stay true to your own guidelines of what makes a decent person and what makes a decent society. There are enormous stresses, and I know what it's like. Every time you wake up, there's a new horror to deal with. But trust you've got the strength here. And this is both talking to you as individuals, individually strong, but as a collective. We need to remind ourselves as a collective, we're stronger than we think. And it is possible to tame people's baser instincts over time. They need help, right? Because they're on display 24/7. But this is quite lovely. This is about partnerships. So to avoid this stress in isolation, thinking, I can't do anything, I'm only one vote, what can I do? And it's hopeless. Please don't cave into that. Get strength from each other. This is about bonding. Get strength from each other. Oh, I love that. Oh, and I love you guys. So I'll say ciao for now. But trust that it's hasta luego. Okay. And I'll be back soon, not in my pajamas. Okay. Oh, before I go, another housekeeping. If you want to know more about the Israeli-Palestinian situation, I recommend Tara Whimsy's recent video where she does a mud map of the Middle East and explains why the dynamics are like they are. And I think she does a great job on that. Okay, so take care, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.